A very good morning and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha TV. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. Well, smog in Delhi continues to be our top focus. Now, the Supreme Court will hear a plea on alarming air pollution levels today. That is the big focus this morning. Also, all the updates on US presidential elections. Now, Americans are to vote today to decide who, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, will spend the next 4 years in White House. All the details on that and much more in this bulletin in the next half an hour. Let us begin with the headlines. Defence Ministry clears new policy on blacklisting of firms indulging in corrupt acts to grab defence deals. Focus on graded blacklisting and fines rather than ban. Delhi government begins phasing out diesel vehicles over 15 years old. A ban on bursting of firecrackers imposed. State government issues health advisory for the first time. Rahul Gandhi all set to take over as Congress president. Congress Working Committee unanimously supports the proposal. Says it's high time party mobilized all forces to fight against the Modi government. And Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump embark on marathon rallies ahead of presidential election today. Latest national polls show a narrow lead for Clinton. And senior Rajya Sabha television anchor Girish Nikam passes away in Delhi. Vice President Muhammad Hamid Ansari and leading media personalities condole his death. Well, the Defence Ministry has cleared a new blacklisting policy. Now, this new policy will do away with blanket bans on companies indulging in corrupt acts. The Defence Acquisition Council, chaired by Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, approved the new policy at its meeting in New Delhi on Monday. Well, as per the new policy, the focus is on graded blacklisting and fines. This means that if a defence conglomerate is caught doing act in a particular manner, in a particular project, it will be banned for a specific number of years from dealing in that particular segment only. It can continue to pitch for projects in other segments. Now, AIR is quoting Defence Ministry sources as saying that the new policy will ensure that while companies are dealt with harshly, it will not affect the modernization process. The DAC also approved projects worth over 82,000 crore rupees for the purchase of fighter aircrafts, tanks, rockets and mini drones. On to some other news. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and British Prime Minister Theresa May met in Delhi on Monday. Well, both the sides took many key decisions on resolving issues relating to cooperation in different fields. Both the nations also set up a strategic group to work on problems relating to visa. On the defence front, Britain will establish manufacturing units in India with the technology transfer in future. They also decided to increase investment for mutual prosperity and employment.
British Prime Minister Theresa May on Monday met Prime Minister Narendra Modi for one-to-one and delegation-level talks on matters of bilateral importance. The emphasis was on improving business ties. May announced a special visa process for Indian businesses that is unique among any country in the world.
The UK will make India the first visa country to have access to our registered traveller scheme, offering many Indians smoother and swifter clearance at the border. And we have invited the Indian government to become the first government in the world to nominate top business executives for the Great Club, our bespoke visa and immigration service.
Two key agreements were signed to give a boost to business and cooperation in different fields, including defence. The agreements included facilitating ease of business in both countries for each other and on protecting intellectual property rights.
I encourage British companies to look at the multiple opportunities in the Indian defence sector. Looking beyond trade in defence equipment, I invite them to build partnerships with Indian enterprise that focus on manufacturing, technology transfer and co-development.
Both leaders discussed issues including terrorism and radicalization of youth in India. Britain promised to support India's concerns and also promised cooperation. Prime Minister briefed May about cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan and the need to stop such tendencies wherever they existed.
I also discussed with Prime Minister May ways to purposefully work together to combat the growing forces of radicalization and terrorism. We agreed that it is not a limited security challenge.
We both face a shared threat of terrorism as individual countries, as partners, and as global powers whose interests lie in a stable world founded on the rules-based international system. Today, we have agreed to strengthen our cooperation, in particular by sharing best practice to tackle the use of the internet by violent extremists and to reduce radicalization and recruitment attempts online.
Both Prime Ministers took part in India-UK Tech Summit to give boost to cooperation. Britain expressed confidence in India's growth story and agreed to invest £120 million in a joint fund to leverage private sector investment from the City of London to finance Indian infrastructure. More than €1 billion of business deals are signed between the two countries, either private or government.
India and Britain will have win-win situation as far as mutual investment is concerned. And politically also, they have little differences. And after Brexit, there is a new opportunity for both the countries to come together for development, peace and prosperity. Akhilesh Soman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Junaid in Delhi.
And now an update on smog in the national capital region. Well, the Delhi government has begun phasing out diesel vehicles over 5 years old in the national capital. I beg your pardon, that is 15 years old. Now there are about such 2 lakh vehicles in Delhi. A ban has also been imposed on bursting of firecrackers. Well, the latest directive came after a meeting chaired by Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung. The meeting was attended by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and other top officials of the key agencies. In a first, the city government also issued a health advisory asking people to avoid highly polluted areas and those with lung diseases do not venture outdoors for any activities. Well, decisions are taken at the meet will now be reviewed in the next meeting on 15th of November. Well, apart from that, a ban on construction and demolition activities will continue till 14th of November and overloaded trucks in vehicles will not be allowed in the national capital. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court will today hear a plea on alarming levels of pollution in Delhi NCR that has forced the state government to shut down schools and ban construction works.
The centre has held Delhi responsible for the alarming rise in pollution levels. In an emergency meeting of Environment Ministers of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh on Monday, Environment Minister Anil Madhav Dave said only 20% of the pollution levels in Delhi is due to crop burning from the neighbouring states and 80% is derived from the capital itself.
80% समस्या हमारी है. इसको हमको समझना होगा कि दिल्ली की समस्या 80% है. 20% में अन्य राज्यों से जो पराली जलने के कारण आता है वह हिस्सा है. हमको 365 दिन प्रतिदिन इस पे काम करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि ये एक 2 करोड़ की आबादी वाला शहर है और इसके अंदर हम सीजनल नहीं हो सकते.
National Green Tribunal once again lashed out at Delhi government for not taking timely preventive steps to tackle air pollution. Coming down heavily on the government, the tribunal asked, what preventive steps did it take on air pollution in national capital? Why didn't authorities sprinkle water on roads earlier? Why can't helicopters be used to create artificial rain to control dust pollution? Criticizing Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan over crop burning, it asked, what are they doing to control crop burning? Pointing out that 70% of agricultural land was burning in Punjab, it asked why didn't it own responsibility when people are dying out of air pollution?
दिल्ली सरकार को ये भी डायरेक्ट करा गया है कि आप एयर पोल्यूशन को कम करने के लिए जैसे इंडोर और आउटडोर पोल्यूशन का जो डाटा है वो सामने लाएं कि इंडोर में क्या जैसे इंडोर का मतलब होता है कि आप एक कमरे के अंदर जो प्रदूषण है क्या वो बाहर के प्रदूषण से कम रहा है या ज़्यादा रहा है.
On Tuesday, the Supreme Court will hear a petition on the alarming pollution levels in Delhi, which the Environment Pollution Control Authority has termed the worst in 17 years.
दिल्ली की स्थिति बहुत खराब है. जो आज जहर है हमारे हवा के अंदर, ये हमारे लिए बहुत बुरा है और ये पब्लिक हेल्थ इमरजेंसी है और इसीलिए हमारी उम्मीद है कि कोर्ट इस मैटर को सुनेगी और जो करना है सरकारों को बताएगी और सख्ती देगी.
As smog continued to engulf the capital for the 8th day on Monday, the Delhi government decided to close all schools for the next 3 days and shut down all constructions and demolitions for 5 days. The Badarpur thermal power plant was closed for 10 days from Monday.
दिल्ली एनसीआर में लगभग 4000 ईंटों के भट्टे हैं जो नॉर्म्स फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं, ओवर पॉल्यूटिंग कर रहे हैं, उन पे काम करने की बात हुई है। जो ओवर पॉल्यूटिंग इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जो ज़्यादा धुआं फेंकती हैं उन को कंट्रोल करने की बात हुई है।
Announcing emergency measures, the Delhi Chief Minister said that the government is exploring the possibility of bringing back the odd-even road rationing scheme and appeal to people to stay indoors. Water sprinkling on roads to deal with dust pollution also began in some parts of the city. The Met Department has forecast little improvement in the current weather conditions for the next 3 days. Anu Diwan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Jammu and Kashmir now. And a Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist was killed and 2 army personnel were injured in an encounter in Shopian district of the state on Monday. In other incidents, India and Pakistan exchanged fire and heavy shelling along the line of control in Mendhar area of Poonch district. Now, this was a 101st incident of ceasefire violation by Pakistan after the surgical strikes.
A terrorist was killed and 2 army personnel injured in an encounter in South Kashmir's Shopian district. This after security forces launched an operation following a tip-off. In the gun battle, a terrorist identified as Saddam Hussain Mir belonging to the Hizbul Mujahideen was killed. Security forces recovered an assault rifle, 5 AK-47 magazines, 119 AK-47 rounds and a hand grenade. Elsewhere, security forces busted a militant hideout in Doda district and recovered a huge cache of arms and ammunition from an underground dump. An AK-47 rifle, 9mm Chinese pistols, underbarrel grenade launcher, 22 UBGL grenades, 11 AK-47 magazines, hand grenades, detonators and IEDs among others were found hidden in the underground dump. In yet another ceasefire violation, Pakistan resorted to unprovoked firing in Mendhar sector of Poonch district. Pakistani troops fired mortar shells on Indian positions in civilian areas, leading to retaliation from the Indian security forces. No casualties were reported on the Indian side.
This has happened for quite some time. The response mechanism and the responses you're watching every day. Our deployments are absolutely normal. Nothing extraordinary. And I think the Indian forces are in control of the situation.
Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti has said that demotivating newly recruited militants and bringing them back to their homes will be the thrust of the state government. She also expressed deep concern over the burning of schools in the Kashmir Valley. Around 32 schools have been burnt in various parts of the valley in the past 4 months of the civil unrest.
Unfortunately, हमारे कुछ स्कूल भी जल गए हैं और उसके बाद एजुकेशन जो है कहीं ना कहीं स्टैंड स्टिल पे आ गए. But I am confident, we have the government has already taken into custody some miscreants. कुछ जो स्कूल जलाते थे उनको बंद कर दिया है, पकड़ा है और मुझे उम्मीद है कि आने वाले 1 हफ्ते के अंदर there should be some good news.
Normalcy seems to have returned in Srinagar as increasing movement of police and traffic were witnessed on city roads. Some shops were also open in the areas. However, adequate deployment of security forces were in place to maintain law and order. Elsewhere in the Kashmir Valley, life remained affected due to a strike called by separatists. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's move on in the bulletin now. Well, the Information and Broadcasting Ministry has put on hold its order on a ban on a Hindi news channel NDTV India for a day on 9th of November. Well, the one-day ban was for revealing strategically sensitive details while covering the Pathankot terror attack. The decision was taken after a meeting between INB Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu and NDTV promoter Pranoy Roy. The move comes after NDTV India moved the Supreme Court against the government's order and the provisions of law under which the order was passed. The apex court will hear the petition today. The ban evoked strong reactions from the opposition and media fraternity across the nation. Now, defending the ban order, INB Minister Venkaiah Naidu said that the Congress has no business to lecture the government on democracy. The Congress, remember, had hailed the government's decision to put a hold on the ban order as a victory of truth.
All those people who are now coming out and criticizing this small action that took as a caution, they never opened their mouth at that time, comfortably enjoying emergency. And during UPA regime, 21 channels were banned. Some of them were banned for airing midnight masala, whereas we are worried about daylight portrayal of these terrorist activities with a running commentary about the whereabouts of depot, ammunition depot, aircrafts, other things.
Shri Venkaiah Naidu's statement reflects the fascist and dictatorial mindset of Modi government. They want to curb the every single voice spoken against Modi ji and his government. The ban on NDTV, similar ban on a channel in Assam, reflects that as Modi government is losing grip over administration, they want to suppress every single voice spoken against Modi ji.
More news from across the nation in Nationwide. A massive fire broke out in the slums near Sadar Bazaar area of Delhi on Monday evening. 4 people are reportedly injured. 35 tenders are still at the spot and efforts to douse the fire are still on. Cylinder blasts have also reportedly taken place. Now, Sadar Bazaar is a crowded area in Old Delhi which sells household goods. The cause of the fire remains unknown. Kanu Ramdas Gandhi, grandson of Mahatma Gandhi and a former NASA scientist, died at a private hospital on Monday evening. He was 87. He was admitted to the hospital on 22nd of October after he suffered a heart attack. He was put on life support and he had also suffered a paralysis attack. The Met Department officials have said that the cold wave conditions have intensified in high altitude areas of Himachal Pradesh, while temperature in Kelong plummeted below the freezing point. Kelong in Lahaul and Spiti district was the coldest as the state recorded minus 1.9 degrees Celsius, followed by Kalpa in Kinnaur district at 1 degree Celsius. The tourist resort of Manali recorded a low of 2 degrees Celsius. A day after holding marathon talks with Samajwadi Party Supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav, Congress poll strategist Prashant Kishore held a closed-door meeting with Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav, fueling speculation that a grand alliance could be on the anvil for the 2017 Assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh. The meeting assumes a significance as Akhilesh Yadav is expected to have a major say in a ticket distribution and choice of seats to be contested by his party in case an alliance is cobbled together. Now, time to take a very short break. Up next, we have all the international news, including all the details on the US presidential poll. Stay with us.
Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young, and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates a message of wisdom.
Welcome back after the break. Now, Americans are getting set for a long election night of waiting to see who the country's 45th president will be, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Now, in the White House race, the winner needs at least 270 of the 538 electoral votes up for grabs. Now, both the candidates embarked on a marathon of rallies a day ahead of Tuesday's national election. Now, while the latest national polls show a narrow lead for Hillary Clinton, continued risk of an upset from Donald Trump looms on the final day of campaigning.
Not that often where you have a chance to shape history. The world is watching us right now. And now, after months of campaigning, after all the rallies, after all the ads, it all comes down to you.
US President Barack Obama making last-minute appeal for Democrat nominee Hillary Clinton in New Hampshire on the last full day of campaigning ahead of Election Day. Both Clinton and her rival Donald Trump are undertaking a blitz of campaigning in key states. Hillary Clinton made campaign stopovers in Pittsburgh and Michigan and went on to Philadelphia, where she will be joined by President Barack Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, husband Bill Clinton, and Bruce Springsteen. The Democratic candidate will end her White House campaign with a midnight Get Out the Vote rally in North Carolina.
If you give me the honor of being your president, I'm going to do everything I can to get this country and everybody in it back up on our together. Because I want to be a president for all Americans. Democrats, Republicans, independents, not just the people who support me, everybody in this country.
Republican presidential nominee Trump also adopted a scattershot strategy on the final day, traveling to 5 key states the day before election. After rallies in Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania and New Hampshire, he will end his day with a rally in Michigan today with his running mate Mike Pence. All 5 states are among the most closely contested, with the outcome in each of them likely to play a key role in determining who becomes the country's 45th president, replacing Barack Obama when he leaves office on 20th of January next year.
In one day, do you believe this? One day, we are going to win the great state of North Carolina. And we are going to win back the White House. This election will decide whether we are ruled by a corrupt political class. You're seeing what's happening. Everybody's watching. Or whether we are ruled by the people. We're going to be ruled by the people, folks.
The latest poll conducted by YouGov for The Economist has given Clinton a 4-point lead in national polls and an advantage in many battleground states. Her campaign got a boost after FBI director declared that the Bureau did not find her guilty of any criminal wrongdoing in the newly found emails. But Clinton's leads are far from dominant, and a strong turnout for Trump could pave the way for the billionaire real estate tycoon to become the president. Meanwhile, the presidential election is not the only close race that will wrap up on Tuesday. Democrats are battling to grab back the Senate from Republicans. The GOP, however, is expected to hold on to the House of Representatives, but likely with a reduced majority. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's get you some more international news. Here is the World Wrap. The Pakistan government on Monday formed a committee to investigate a leaked controversial news report about a rift between the government and the army over support to militants in the country. The committee, headed by a former High Court judge, will complete its job in 30 days and submit its findings to the government. Cyril Almeida, the journalist who wrote the story, was put on the exit control list, but the ban was later lifted after a backlash against the Pakistani government. China has passed a new cybersecurity regulation to counter what Beijing says are growing threats such as hacking and terrorism. However, critics say that the law threatens to shut foreign technology companies out of various sectors deemed critical. Rights advocates also say that the law will enhance restrictions on China's internet, which is already subject to the world's most sophisticated online censorship mechanism. China's parliament also passed a ruling on Monday that effectively bars 2 elected Hong Kong pro-independence politicians from taking office. Well, the move came after 2 politicians, Wai Ching and Bagyo Leung, pledged allegiance to the Hong Kong nation and displayed a banner declaring that Hong Kong is not China during a swearing-in ceremony for the city's Legislative Council in October. This is Beijing's most direct intervention in the territory's legal and political system since the 1997 handover. And as the battle for the key city of Mosul rages on, Iraqi Kurdish forces have fought their way into a town held by Islamic State militants northeast of Mosul. Hundreds of Peshmerga fighters backed by artillery and US-led coalition airstrikes advanced on Bashika from 3 directions on Monday morning. Meanwhile, the Iraqi military said that it has found a mass grave filled with some 100 decapitated bodies south of Mosul. The United Nations has also received reports that militants have carried out atrocities since the government's offensive to retake Mosul began 3 weeks ago. And some sad news in our senior Rajya Sabha TV anchor Girish Nigam passed away on Monday in New Delhi. He was 59 years old. Now, a well-known presence in English television journalism, Girish anchored Rajya Sabha TV's popular current affairs program Big Picture ever since its inception. On Monday, Girish had finished recording the Big Picture program when he complained of difficulty in breathing. He was immediately rushed to the RML hospital where he died of a cardiac arrest. Now, a seasoned journalist, Girish started his career with the state of Mysore, reporting for the last 24 years for various prestigious English publications, including the Indian Express, India Today, News Time and Deccan Chronicle. An outspoken professional, Girish Nigam marked his television debates with an understated style that was high on content. Based in New Delhi since 1995, he was also an excellent mentor to budding journalists, teaching reporting and current affairs at the Jagran Institute of Mass Communication in Noida. Now, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari condoled with the passing away. In a message, he said that Girish Nigam was a valued and respected member of Rajya Sabha television. Notable media personalities also joined the Vice President in condoling his death. Now, expressing deep sorrow, Rajya Sabha CEO Gurdeep Singh Sapal said that his passing away is a huge loss for RSTV. Sapal said that Girish was not only an integral part of RSTV but also a voice of sovereignty, rationale and compassion in the debates that he conducted, which became the hallmark of the channel.
Confrontation between the judiciary
Having different views, he used to be very friendly with me. One of the knowledgeable person, and it's really shocking that he had a heart attack second time, and before the doctors could do anything, he no more. I just came to know of it. That's why I came here and then saw his body there just now. My heartfelt condolences to his family members.
I have lost a very dear friend, but I think India has lost a very versatile journalist who traversed the worlds of print, television and social media. It's a very sad day for all of us because he had a lot more to offer to this world and to the world of journalism.
वे एक ऐसे पत्रकार थे जो कि कभी अपने आदर्शों और विचारों के साथ कभी समझौता नहीं किया। मैं उनके प्रति श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूँ।
And that's the wrap on this edition of news. Thanks for watching.